playing cards became winged bats, then fluttering books, then finally bricks, lamps, and pieces of furniture, all of them aimed at me with ever-increasing force and animosity. Within a few days, I caught myself examining my skin in the morning looking for bruises. The second dream began after the first was well established in my nocturnal routine. In it, a completely faceless man stood before me, peculiarly terrifying in his utter anonymity and appearing always in a similarly white and featureless room. He would sometimes speak. How? Without a mouth? "Don't be afraid, little girl," he would say. "Don't be afraid." Might as well say, "Don't look down at the bear trap," or "Take no notice of the shotgun on the breakfast table." The sort of command intended to suggest its opposite. Be afraid, little girl. Be afraid. Then, as if two hauntings were not sufficient, a third dream began shortly after we had rounded the tip of India. The nights were stifling, and would have made sleep difficult at the best of times, but with this third regular visitor I nearly gave up sleep entirely. Not that this one was as openly nightmarish as the flying objects or the faceless man, merely troubling. In the third dream, I would be strolling through a house, a large and beautifully designed building whose architectural style changed every time. Medieval stone one night and modern steel and glass the next, Elizabethan half-timbered or 19th century brick terrace. My footsteps seemed to echo through the hallways, although I often had a number of friends with me, showing them around what seemed to be my own house. We visited a spacious bedroom here, they admired an ornate dining room there, stood and talked about a baronial fireplace in a great hall. But neither the architecture nor the friends seemed to be the central thrust of the dream, for sooner or later, in dim stone passageway or brightly windowed corridor, we would come to a door, silent and undemanding, and I would finger a key in my pocket. The door was to an apartment, I knew that, but it was so thoroughly concealed that no one knew of it but me. My companions would pass by, unaware, while I thoughtfully played with the cool metal key and felt the unsettling pull of the rooms on the other side of the door. It wasn't that I was hiding the apartment from them. Indeed, some nights my illusory self would pull out the key and open the unnoticed door, showing my surprised friends around a set of richly comfortable rooms, medieval or modern, that were only slightly dusty with long disuse. The importance seemed to lie neither in the existence nor in the secrecy of the locked rooms. What mattered, and what troubled me inexplicably when I woke, was my awareness of them, and of the hidden apartment's dim, empty stillness, comfortable and undemanding, tucked away in the back of my mind as the key was tucked into my pocket. Almost as if the locked rooms lay deliberately waiting, knowing that some day I should have need of them. Book 1. Russell. Chapter 1. Japan had been freezing, the wind that sliced through its famous cherry trees scattering flakes of ice in place of spring blossoms. We had sat down there for nearly 3 weeks, after a peremptory telegram from its emperor had reached us in Hong Kong. People kept insisting that the countryside would be lovely in May. The greatest benefit of those 3 weeks had been the cessation of the dreams that had plagued me on the voyage from Bombay. I slept well, warily at first, then with the slow relaxation of defenses. Whatever their cause, the dreams had gone. But 12 hours after raising anchor in Tokyo, I was jerked from a deep sleep by flying objects in my mind. 3 days out from the island nation, the rain stopped, and a weak sun broke intermittently through the grey. The cold meant that most of the passengers, after venturing out for a brief turn on the decks, settled in along the windows on the ship's exposed side, like so many somnolent cats. I, however, begged a travelling rug from the purser, and found a deck chair out of the wind. There, wrapped to my chin with a hat tugged down over my close-cropped hair, I dozed. Halfway through the afternoon, Holmes appeared with a cup of hot coffee. Actually, it was little more than tepid, and half the liquid resided in the saucer. Nonetheless, I sat up and disentangled one arm to receive it, then freed the other arm so that I could pour the saucer's contents back into the cup. Holmes perched on a nearby chair, taking out his pipe and tobacco pouch. "The captain tells me that we are making good time," he commented. "I'm glad the storm blew itself out," I replied. "I might actually be able to face the dinner table tonight." Something about the angle of the wind the past days had made the perpetual pitch and toss of the boat even more quease-inducing than usual. "You haven't eaten anything in 3 days." Holmes disapproved of my weak stomach. "Rice?" I objected. "And tea?" "Or slept," he added, snapping his windproof lighter into life and holding it over the bowl of his pipe. That accusation I didn't answer. After a moment, as if to acknowledge that his comment had not required a response, he went on. "Had you thought any more about pausing in Hawaii?" I stifled a yawn and put my empty cup onto the chair's wide arm, nestling back into the warmth of the rug. "It's up to you, Holmes. I'm happy to stop there if you like. How many days would it be before the next ship?" "Normally 3, but it seems that the following ship has turned back to Tokyo for repairs, which means we could be marooned there for a week." I opened one eye, unable to tell from his voice, still less his smoke-girt expression, which way his desires leant. "A week is quite a long diversion," I ventured. "Particularly if Hawaii has embraced the austerities of prohibition." "A half-day would mean a long walk and a table where I don't have to aim a moving soup spoon at my mouth. Both would be quite nice." "Then another 4 days to San Francisco." The pointless, unnecessary observation was unlike Holmes. Indeed, this entire conversation was unlike him, I reflected, squinting at him against the glare. He had his pipe between his teeth and was concentrating on rolling up the pouch, so I shut my eyes again. "Terra firma," I said. "A week in California tying up business, and then we can turn for home, by train. I don't get seasick on trains." "A week will be sufficient, you believe?" "To draw up the papers for selling the house and business, more than enough." "And that is what you have decided to do?" This non-committal, pseudo-Socratic dialogue was beginning to annoy. "What are you getting at, Holmes?" "Your dreams." "What about them?" I snapped. I should never have told him about them, although it would have been difficult not to, considering the closeness of the quarters. "I should say they indicate a certain degree of anxiety." "Oh, for heaven's sake, Holmes, you sound like Freud. The man had sex on the brain." "Rooms in dreams are generally women," he declares. "A dream of going through a series of rooms indicates a brothel or a marriage." I can't imagine what his own marriage could have been like to equate the two so readily. And the key. God, you can imagine the fraught symbolism of playing with a key that lies warm in my pocket. Innocent dreams can embody crudely erotic desires. The faceless man he'd no doubt equate with the male organ. And as for the objects that spurt wildly into the air, well, I'm clearly a sick woman. What does it say about my erotic desires that reading the man's book made me need a hot bath, or perhaps a cold shower bath? "You sound as if you've researched this rather thoroughly." "Yes, well, I found a copy of his interpretation of dreams in the ship's library.